the Rikishi Fatu Off the Top podcast. Let's go. Rikishi Fatu, all y'all ready? We the ones. Keep it locked on the Rikishi Fatu podcast. Off the Top. We gonna talk about everything wrestling, everything hip hop. Keep it locked. It's time to smarten up.
Wow.
So what's happening, my man? I'm here.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back.
Manuel. Another successful week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're here.
So you just came back from Indiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was work. I was out there. We did the Circle Expo, another wrestling expo, one of the biggest one in Indianapolis. It was sold out, man. You know, I was got to see some of my good friends up there that I didn't get to see at WrestleCon in Vegas. I got to see Steiner's, you know, Scott Steiner. I got to see Ron Simmons, Jerry the King, you know, JBL, you know, the whole crew. A lot of the divas out there, some of the that got released from NXT, you know, were there. So I didn't know who they were, but you know, they all came up and showed love. It was jam packed, man. You know, if you've never been in that Square Circle Expo, Wrestling Expo in Indianapolis, you got to check it out, man. It's like a huge WrestleCon. It's exactly what it is. So I was there. I did what did I do? Saturday and Sunday, man. You know. I did that, and then, you know, I had to get my Waffle House on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big shout out to Waffle House. I got the Waffle House on, and here I am, man. Got back, and, you know, the day starts all over. I mean, the week starts all over.
Yes, sir. You were busy going into WrestleMania, and you've been busy since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of your favorite things about these fan engagements? Because you do a lot of these conventions, and people get to interact with you. What is one of your favorite things about doing that?
When certain people just walk up and just talk about the memories, man. The most I get a lot is always, how was it sticking your ass in Vince McMahon's face? Who was the best person you stuck your ass in their face? You know what I mean? And it's always that subject of the steak face. So, you know, and then when you see the fans, it's like they're really excited to want to know, you know, the answer of that and this, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's those type of things, the memories that they have. And then I love when they pull out like some old school. They pull out some old school photos of, you know, me, Sami, and Paul Heyman, you know, back in the day. And, you know, when we were out there in WCW, you know, and they pull some other photos out, you know, random photos. Like, do you remember this in Texas when we seen you at the Waffle House and, you know, you were there with who and who? I was like, man, you talking 25 years ago, man, you know. But, of course, I remember that. Just, you know, just to kind of just give them that answer to keep them happy. But,
right.
You know, it's the stories. It's the stories and the memories.
And I also, I think that's really cool how you also, it's like a high school reunion of some sorts. Every convention you do, like you said, you ran into friends this time you didn't get to see at WrestleMania. So that's got to be cool, man, traveling everywhere and then running into your compadres, you know, out there on the road.
You know, on WrestleCon, you get to see all those that are, you know, that are out of WWE, you know, but are with different federations that are allowed to do those type of signings at WrestleCon. But then, you know, I was bouncing back and forth. I was doing the WWE, you know, appearances, and then I was doing the WrestleCon appearances, and then I did Knox Pro appearances. And so you get to see different friends that you haven't seen in a minute. And so, you know, it was nice to kind of come to the WWE, which I like to call home, right? It was nice to come home and, you know, be in the back with signing a few tops, you know, sports cards and a lot of, you know, I got a chance to chop it up with Jacob.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I mean? And, you know, just sitting there, just, you know, reminiscing of when, you know, where he came from and what it feels like, you know. It was like, man, Uncle, you called it. You know what I mean? I said, wait. I only call what you couldn't see, and now you're living it.
Right.
And so you got a big responsibility now to be able to carry that U.S. title to be the best ever to be able to carry that title. And I feel that this is just one title that you're going to go through, right? To me, this kid is destined for big things.
Absolutely.
But I got, a chance to chop it up with my nephew, Jacob. Got a chance to, I ran into John Cena in the back.
Really?
Yeah, and it was good. Me and Samson were together, and he kind of remembered when Samson was 5 years old. I used to bring Samson in the back of the locker room. So we kind of just, I said I was, very proud of him, what he's become and what he's done in the industry. And he said, I remember one thing. I want to say thank you to you. And, it was that one word you said, longevity, back in the day.
That's what you taught to us, too.
Longevity. So I was just so happy to be able to see a lot of good friends. Godfather, got a chance to see, one of the BSK members, Henry Godwin was there. Ran into Taker, what I mean? It was good to see Taker, man. We both kind of just like we was on the run, you know what I mean? But just had a quick time, just to, a few minutes and, hug each other, say hello, man. And it was like, get some rest, Deuce. I said, you do the same thing. When it comes that weekend, that's like our Super Bowl of appearance.
Man, it's madness.
So as a professional wrestler, you're being, you're booked every which way. And the problem is trying to fit it into your scheduling. So I would start 6 a.m. in the morning to wake my son up. Samson was my handler. You were my handler, part of my staff. And Nick was there, And Samson was up with me every morning at 6, and we wouldn't get back to the room till about midnight.
Yeah.
And then repeat it all back over again from Wednesday all the way to Sunday. On the drive back home from Vegas, he couldn't been more happier. Like my boy was just out like a light. But he got a chance to experience what his father does. Because Samson came into the business while I wasn't active in the WWE. Like he never got a chance to go watch me wrestle in the arenas. All he sees is what the YouTube and what WWE puts out on me.
Right.
So it was a good father and son time. Good coach and student time. You guys get to see how I operate, and the fans to me are the most up. You got to be able to, make their day. You know what I mean? No matter how bad of a day I'm having, how tired I am, you got to have that type of utmost professionalism to be able to, these are the people that paid hard-earned money to come see you. You know what I mean? It's not their fault that you're having a bad day. So therefore, you never want to, put that out there and throw that out there on them. But you will have some that come through. Like, I ran into a few that was intoxicated. Like, we're in Vegas. They never, you could tell they never went to sleep. So they would just come, I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he... Okay. All right. Have another drink, buddy. I'll tell you what. Go sit down over there on the couch somewhere and take a real quick power nap. Before you get stink face. Yeah. So it was good, man. That's just what we do. You
know? The grind was heavy. Big Keish. Something I wanted to talk to you about this weekend. I wrestled and I was a part of a show. I saw a lot of injuries this weekend. It was the first show I saw a wrestler taken away in an ambulance. People who tune into the show, like, man, we all love this, but we can't forget that, of course, this is not ballet. Now, the big story going on right now, I don't know if you saw the footage, but Leon Slater from TNA, Rebellion pay-per-view, I don't know if you saw this footage, but this gentleman climbed up really high, I'd say 15, 16, 17 feet. And he did a 450 splash onto a bunch of wrestlers waiting down. There was at least 8 people on the floor, and they dropped him. They completely, there was no one to catch him. And he did the 450, and when he came back, bam, he landed straight on his face. You've been somebody who's taken that type of risk. You went up there. Of course, everybody remembers the Hell in a Cell match. First of all, my question, did you happen to see that footage?
No, I haven't. But just by listening to it, I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Obviously they all talked about that spot before this guy here. You got a guy's body that's in your hands. You know what I mean? Hopefully this guy is okay.
Yes.
You know, went to the hospital, and you know, I'm assuming he's probably got some broken bones, and you know, but that responsibility, it falls on those cats that were out there. That's what's supposed to be the make believe cushion for this guy to come all the way, and he's doing the 450. Like, I mean, you know, this is the part of the training. Like, it really needs to. A lot of these wrestlers need to understand this. That, you know, at any given time, 30 seconds, somebody can end their career. Now, I trust you, Joey. You need to trust me as well. So if you're going to do a spot with me, well, damn it, you know, I need to be there for you. But nothing like having all these guys out there. You got a body. I'm assuming this guy, he's, what, 200-something pounds, maybe?
Or more.
Right?
Yeah, he's
or
a big
more.
dude.
Okay,
Big dude.
so that's even worse, right? Because the bigger he is, the harder. You can imagine when he hit the floor, right? And nobody's there to kind of, you know, break the fall is what we call.
Sure.
Right? And so, you know, shame on those guys. You know, I would have, man, I would have came through with that guy. If that was me and nobody caught me, I would have had to take a chair to everybody's head out there. You know what I mean? There would have been a shoot fight when I came through the locker room if I was able to walk back. You know, like, you know, you guys understand what you're supposed to do. And nobody was there to help break the fall. You know, so yeah, you know, these are the things that a lot of kids, like, students of the game, you know, it's not a game. It really isn't, man. Because this guy could have came through, God forbid he land on, you know, I mean, you know, on his vertebrae or whatever the case it may be. You know what I mean? And this guy is, you know, put in a wheelchair. And if I was one of those guys that were, man, I'd feel like I'd probably quit the business. Because I wasn't there to help break that guy's fall when we knew what the spot was. But everybody decided not to. So it's one of those things like, you know, they probably like, you know, look, oh, you catch him or you catch him or you. The spot is that everybody's supposed to catch this guy, especially if he's 200-something pounds. And so, yeah, I don't know who the guy is or, you know, or whoever the guys that were on the floor supposed to catch. But, you know, if you guys are listening, man, this ain't a joke, man. You know what I mean? I hopefully the guy that, you know, that took the bump from the top of the cage, hopefully he's okay. The domino effect is this, you know, I mean, this not only he hurts, but his family hurts. You know, you can imagine, like, I'm talking about if he was really like, you know, unable to walk ever again. Can you imagine the domino effect that his family has to go through just because these guys that were on the floor decide to make the decision not to catch him the right way? So understand that, man. This ain't a joke, man.
Again, someone who's been in that same position. I mean, man, you did one of the riskiest bumps, a few of the riskiest bumps, quite frankly, in that squared circle.
Well, you know what, Joey? Let me say this: like, for a decision of Rikishi to be able to take a Hell in a Cell, and number one, we do what is a walkthrough. You can bet your ass I wasn't going to do nothing knowing that it's not safe for me. I'm the only one taking that bump. There was nobody to catch me. So I want to make sure that what we have called the crash pads. Every stuntman uses it, you know, but when you're at 450 pounds, those crash pads don't do a damn thing. So now it relies on my technique of how to take that bump, right? And so when I took that bump, or decided to take the bump, it was basically all on me and God-given. It was his time to even let me live that bump, or, you know, we go ahead and do what needs to be done. And so it's safety precautions first, right? So that's the bump in the Hell in the Cell. Felt comfortable. There was like a 4 feet wide, 4 feet thick crash pad. It had some hay put on there. So, all right, we dressed it up as much as we can and took the bump. When I took that bump, it still didn't really, you know, it still didn't really break the fall as if the way I want it to be. But, you know, considering 450 pounds, you're going to go right through that mat.
Yes, sir.
But I survived. Going back now to, me and Val Venus. There is no, the only way to really break the fall on that is the technique of a 450-pound guy. Break the fall with his elbows, break the fall with my knees, and you almost try to want to kind of, bend over the body that's laying there to, somewhat catch you. He's not really catching you. The person is really just laying there, hopefully that you don't smash the guy. And so there you can see when I landed, again, safety first, right? As soon as I land, I felt every bit of my knees. I had like a couple knee pads on, right, to somewhat try to break the fall. And then, my elbows, of course, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that not through the adrenaline, but after when you're in the hotel. But at the end of the day, Val Venus was okay. I was a little bit banged up from breaking the fall, but that's what I'm supposed to do. I'd rather hurt myself than hurt those that are, there trying to, take the fall from me. So perfect your craft. Perfect your craft and understand that this is not a game.
What is your advice, Big Keish, to wrestlers who are going to continue to perform these dangerous maneuvers? Like I said, we're talking to somebody who's been in that seat. What is your advice? You'd mentioned the crash pads, the walkthroughs, because one wrong move, it could be done. Like you say, what advice do you give to all these young wrestlers who are gonna go out and continue to do those type of dangerous spots?
You don't really need to do, if you understand the craft, you understand psychology of the match, and you don't really need to do all those big high spots. Because a lot of these kids, they do these high spots is to be able to get what we call a pop, right, in the business, right? But you can still have a pop by learning how to do psychology, theatrical movement, to be able to tell a story. I mean, how is it possible, believable, you see a guy do 450 coming off the top of the cage, and then to get a big pop, you're going to get a pop because, wow, that's a wow moment.
Right.
But then to know that you still have another 20, 25 minutes match. So you're going to do all that and then turn around, run spots after? It just doesn't, doesn't make any sense. So my advice to a lot of kids out there, understand psychology of the business. Learn to tell stories, right? There's no story that just in the beginning of a movie just takes off and then boom, finish. It takes us through emotions. It lets me know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy in the beginning. Then there's that little downtime to kind of soak it in a little bit. Kind of feel the emotions, right?
Yes, sir.
Kind of feel the emotions of the movie, you know what I mean? Or somebody died or blah, blah, blah. So where's your money, Joey?
Your face, sir.
In your face. So then the camera hits your face, it shows your tears coming out, like blah, blah. So the emotions of that. And then when you're working, a lot of times you got to work like you're working these people they can feel you through the TV screen. You can imagine when those are way up there in the nosebleed. That's how I work. Those that are nosebleed, you want to make that person way up there feel your emotions all the way down from the ring. And the only way they can feel that is what? Through your face, through your movements, through your theatrical movement. They ain't going to feel that 450 off the cage because it went by so quick. Never. Now, if I would have did a 450 just in case, right, I was able, I would have did a 450. That was it. Guess what? I would have been selling my leg, selling a broken shoulder, supposedly. Maybe I can't continue on if I was a heel, right? Selling it, the baby face comes by and check my broken shoulder and then turn around, hit him with the same shoulder. Now the story that no good son of a bitch, he just tricked all of us. Theatrical storytelling. Learn psychology.
Yes, sir. Speaking of emotion, someone who's exhibiting a lot of emotions right now is your daughter-in-law, Naomi. She beat the hell out of Jade Cargill like she owed her some money this past SmackDown. So Obviously, your daughter-in-law didn't listen to the podcast. She didn't hear or heed any of your words of advice. She went out and she stomped a mud hole in Jade Cargill's ass and walked it dry. My question to you is, where do you see this feud going now? Because a lot of us thought it was over, one and done at WrestleMania, but no, it looks like it's just begun. So my question to you is, where do you see this feud going next? Because there's obviously...
I think it goes till it's damn over with. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, I thought these girls just get out there to, just finish it at WrestleMania.
Right.
But obviously, you and I and everybody else is surprised and shocked that this thing is still going on. So, at the end of the day, these girls going to have to work it out. I'm going to say what I said before WrestleMania. They're going to have to work it out until they are tired of beating the hell out of each other. And then finally, hopefully that day comes where they can both hug each other and just throw everything underneath the rug. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like I thought that I knew the answer to it, but I guess I don't.
And there was a little footage backstage with Naomi and Nia Jax, of all people. And there was a little, some people saying, is that a prelude to the future? Might there be a female bloodline somewhere in the future in the WWE? What do you think, Big Keish, about a female bloodline?
Why not? Why not? I mean, it hasn't been, it hasn't been formed, and, it's always been surfacing, here and there. But I think I think it's good for business. I think it's good because, the bloodline is not only men in the family.
Right.
We got females in this family, females that can work, females that can draw, females that can carry the ball. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, bloodline is the timeline. It's still the timeline. Still drawing. You can break everybody up and put them certain ways. And, you got Jay going off, on his own, with the heavyweight belt now. You got Jacob, U.S. title. You got Roman doing his thing. Everybody backstabbing him, especially that no good wise man. Right?
Yes,
and
sir.
so, but he got his coming. Yeah. He's got his coming. I guarantee you, with what's happening with Roman right now, Roman ain't just sitting, man. Roman plotting right now.
Well, let's talk about it.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk about it.
To answer your question, bloodline with the females in our family, I mean, those that are really connected to this blood, I think it's time to form the women's bloodline and let them step up to the game and stand on business of what we do as far as, putting the ladies up on the marquee.
Who do you think would be a shoo-in for the third spot? So we got, let's just say Naomi, and we got Nia. Who'd be third, do you think?
I think Ava.
Oh, Rock's daughter. Okay.
Why not?
What about Tamina,
Right.
Snuka's daughter?
Tamina can come in, play her part there. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I got nieces and nephews that are in training right now.
Right.
I mean, I got, some nieces that are training and nephews. But we don't need. We got a lot of men bloodline already.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? But yes, I mean,
okay.
It'd be nice to. Those will be the four. I feel it would be
Ava,
Nia Jax, Ava, Tamina, and Naomi.
There it is, folks. You hear it right there. There could possibly be a female bloodline in the near future. Let's talk about the wise man and the huge betrayal still heard around the world. The rumors right now, Big Keish, like you mentioned, Roman Reigns is plotting, and you know what? You might be onto something here because the rumors on the IWC, that's the Internet Wrestling Community, Roman Reigns might be in the works of starting a new Shield. That's the rumors. That's the scuttlebutt. That's the ballyhoo. Mm-hmm. So
ballyhoo.
Yes, sir. So they're saying that Roman Reigns might be putting together the Shield 2.0, which you kind of called a while back. You said that's kind of what a WrestleMania moment needed, and you were talking about Moxley coming in. But the scuttlebutt is CM Punk. It'd be Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and another heavy hitter. So let's just, in your opinion, who do you think would work well in that third spot in a new Shield?
Man, I can't call it right now, man. I mean, box office would have been nice, the original Shield, right? Because you can never reduplicate, You know what I mean? The originals,
Right.
right? It's just a no brainer. It's easy to sell, right? Because it's one of those. If you were a Shield fan back in the day, you can imagine you see them all three together, right? But now that's out the door.
Yep.
Thank you to to that weasel wise man Paul Heyman. You know, so I don't know. I would think possibly somebody. I would like to see opportunity to go to a new kid.
Right.
Somebody coming out from NXT. We see Braun Breaker, is a part of Seth Rollins now with the Wise Man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There might be somebody, the third one,
They're
we probably
looking to
don't even
recruit
know.
right now, Big Keish.
Okay, so, that would be kind of a thing there. I kind of see, CM Punk form with Roman, but I don't know. It might be too much. Roman don't take a backseat to nobody else.
Right.
So I don't even know, like, if CM Punk is the guy to be able to be in that faction with Roman.
So Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Seth Rollins, they're trying to recruit right now. They're looking for a third member, and they're looking at Sami Zayn, who, of course, is loyal to the soil with the bloodline. But again, I'm talking with you. You said we can't trust Sami Zayn a long time ago. I'm wondering, does that still stand true with you? Because he looked like he was a little confused.
Hey, I don't trust nobody that ain't part of the bloodline.
I felt that one. Did you guys feel that one? I felt that
don't.
one.
You know what I
That
mean?
like vibrated. I felt that one.
We know, we understand what this is, and it's just we got too much going on. Everybody's gunning for that top spot, and the bloodline held that for well over 5+ years, right? So now everything, like, how about we do this? How about we just take out the bloodline from all the top angles that they're doing right now, and let's just see what type of box office draw that they can draw. I'm just curious to see the numbers on that. Let's don't make any more merchandise. Let's don't do none of that. Let's just pull the bloodline completely out of everything, and let's just see what type of revenue that give opportunities to other wrestlers, to see if they can match the numbers, right? Because at the end of the day, now it's like, okay, bloodline is the timeline. The TKO, they're not a bunch of dummies up in there. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, there's a reason why you want to put this legacy, these players in position. Numbers don't lie when it comes to revenue of any business. In any business, the owner of that business is going to make the right decision, whether it breaks some staff's hearts or whatever the case. Nothing personal, right? This is just business. And so at the end of the day, well, we'll see. We try to mix up Roman with CM Punk. I don't know. I don't know if that's the way to go, but we'll see. We'll see who the third man is. We'll see how these people behind the scenes are able to, come up with whatever angle that they see fit. It's got to out top the bloodline angle for years, because otherwise it's just going to be one of those things like, now, do we leave the bloodline in there to make other people? Do we, get that little shoulder rub from another talent to be able to push them over the bloodline to be able to, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't think I think the bloodline, we worked hard. Every single person in that family that's on that roster has worked their asses off and waited patiently for the opportunity to come. And now the time is now. The time is our time right now. Bloodline is the timeline right now. No matter how you twist it and write it and put it together, or you put them with whoever the deal may be, without any member of the bloodline within that angle, it's not going to work.
Monwea.
Salute. That's just my 2 cents, but what do I know?
Big Keish, you mentioned John Cena earlier, and
that's my dude, man.
That's right, and he's got a new challenger in Randy Orton. So
okay.
I just wanted your thoughts. Backlash, May 10th. John Cena versus Randy Orton. Who do you got?
I gotta go with John Cena, man.
Really?
Yeah, because we all didn't see that coming, right? We all definitely for sure. We thought Cody Rhodes is the
right.
future.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes is the guy. You know, he's a lot younger. He's a lot. You know what I mean? He's healthy to run. Cena's healthy. He's a little bit up on age. You know, so why not go ahead and get the shoulder rub from the GOAT? But nah, they you know, right when we think they're going right, they went left.
Yep.
Right? And that's the beautiful thing about professional wrestling, right? And so to see him go up against Randy, man, that's gonna be a iconic match. And probably gonna top the last one they had.
Yes, sir. And we've seen that matchup many times, but it's fresh now because we've never seen it under these circumstances. John Cena, the heel.
He ain't even got to do too much with Randy.
Right?
I mean, they both, you got two GOATs, man. Randy in the tip-top shape of his life. And, you know, these two guys, man, they can still go. Right? So can you imagine the theatrical story, theatrical movement, the psychology of this match? Boy, they're going to have everybody at the end of their seats, you know? And guess what? And it is going to draw.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
It's going to draw.
Yes, sir.
Everybody want to see right now John Cena get his ass whooped. Right?
Yes, sir. We're going to wrap up with Jey Uso. Of course, he's now involved with Logan Paul, of all people. First of all, what are your thoughts on the first challenger being Logan Paul? I think it's kind of cool because of...
I think Jey cooked Paul.
Yeah.
You nothing but a YouTuber coming into this wrestling.
Right?
But here's what I got to say for Paul, right? I think he's a good athlete.
Right.
He's a natural in the business. And, you know, I just caught something about him saying that he wanted to dedicate, you know, his full time to you know,
WWE.
To WWE.
Right.
Which, you know what, I can't knock that in Paul, man. You know what I mean? For a kid that really wants to come through and really want to be a part of this and really perfect it. And, you know, because obviously he truly believes he's one of the best in there. And he's one of those guys, and I said this before when I seen Paul come through. He's one of those kids that just like a sponge. Like, you know, it seems like he's been training for a long time. He's a natural at our business, right? To be able to get out there, and he's fearless of things that he does. So with him and Jey, yeah, man, I think that can be a great headliner.
Right.
You know, that can be a good guide for Jey to run with for the first time around. And so, and then, you know, Paul's good on the stick. You know what I mean? I just caught a little bit of the Monday Night Raw. And I think, you know, from seeing the fans' reaction amongst the two, you know, it's a good sign. It's a good feel. It's a good hear, you know. And you know, Jake he's the right heel to be able to go up against Jey on his first time around.
I thought so too, and they both represent the youth and what's going on now.
Yeah.
So that's why I also thought he's a really good opponent for Jey, because no one else has that WWE crowd captivated right now other than...
And I think because, you know, the Bloodline, we're good at telling stories. We're good at theatrical movements and stuff like that in there. We're good at, you know, we understand the psychology of it. I feel like once Jake perfects that, he's going to be a complete worker. And then you can imagine the storytelling that him and Jey can put together, you know, because now it's like, you know, really taking the fans for a good storytelling match, right? I mean, emotional, right? They're both athletic, you know, they're both in good shape. They're both, you know, young. So, you know, there's so much stuff that these two can put together. And my only thing is that don't give it to the fans all at once. You know what I mean? Make them wait. You got to just give it to them piece by piece. It's like eating that delicious, you know, poutine pie. You know what I mean? You just cut a piece and then eat a little piece and then cut another piece, and it's like that. You know, by the time you get to that last slice, boy, you done hit the money taste right there. You dig? So that's what
I dig, Sir Tribal Cheeks.
Hey, Sir Tribal Cheeks.
Mangwea.
Yeah, Mangwea.
You got any final words?
I love you guys, man. Thank you again for subscribing. I appreciate y'all just always tuning in, man. Thank all the fans. for showing love to our podcast and everything. We're just two guys just, out here in Los Angeles, just having fun and just bringing it to y'all. So remember this, it's always free to be kind to one another and always smarten up. And I'm out.
That came out of nowhere.
Wu-Tang, bye. I knew I had to finish it.